Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. So today we are here with Lewis Ellis, who you might know from BBC's Apprentice in 2019. Last year, it's gone very, very quickly. So Lewis, I'll pass it over to you. Just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, and then we will go from there.
Yeah, well, hi, I'm Lewis, and I was on the Apprentice in 2019, just gone actually, and I am now a marketing agency owner and a travel company owner, and I'm also involved in a secret third business, which is a software technology app. I don't really talk about that just yet because it's still so new, and yeah, like. Just before the Apprentice, so like we were talking like 12 months ago, I was just a guy working in an agency, wanting to be an entrepreneur. Now, fast forward 1 year, and I'm a guy who is consistently living in my pajamas, stressed out my wits, and working 29 hours a day. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, I know the feeling. Working from home is the best as well. At least you can be comfortable.
Yeah, like I always said, I never said that I want to work from home or anything like that. It was never I just kind of forgot, like if you work for yourself, you don't really have an office to go to.
Yeah.
I try and dance around coffee shops or I sort of haunt hotels and find nice, cool places to work. But yeah, just the one thing I never expected working for yourself would just be just how much you actually work. Like, because obviously you just start and you know you'll be working all day. There's no cut off point. There's no 5 o'clock finish. There's no lunch breaks. You just sort of I can sit on the sofa the entire day and not realize I've not moved. So it's a tricky one to get used to.
Yeah, definitely. So how did you get into the whole business world?
Well, my actual interests in business came whilst I was working abroad. I was younger. So I got kicked out of a few colleges and I kind of didn't see myself going to university. But what I did do is I went to work abroad and I was a holiday rep. And I thought, what a great way to see the world. And I enjoyed partying and I get to meet cool people. And I did that for a long time until I came across, I was working in a ski resort and it was actually quite an expensive ski resort. And, you know, we're talking like people paying $5,000 per person per week. So they were like quite wealthy families I was around. For the first time in my life, I had the opportunity to ask questions to people who I never had interaction with, entrepreneurs, CEOs, really big high finance guys. And I was skiing with them all day. So they were just happy to chat about what they did and how they did it and what they've done and what they built. And I kind of decided back then, I was 21 years old, that I wanted to have what they had. I wanted to replicate and model myself around these kind of cool people that existed, but I didn't know this. And I was like, well, how do I get to that point? How do I do what you do? And pretty much all of them said to me, you can't stay abroad and keep pissing around and getting drunk all the time or skiing every day. It might be fun, but you're not really going to get anywhere in life doing that. And obviously I recognized that's kind of the case. So I decided to come home, go to university, and I went ahead and studied business. And I did it because I wanted to have some sort of pathway into it. I wanted to kind of get the background, basic knowledge. And I thought, maybe I'll do an MBA one day or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of where I went from abroad to come into study in the UK.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. So let's talk about the Apprentice. Mm-hmm. So what pushed you to apply for it in the first place? It takes a lot to be like, right, I'm just gonna go for it.
To be honest, I'd watched it for a few years. And I always kind of enjoyed watching the show. I find it entertaining. I always like talk about it with my friends and blah, blah, blah. So I thought, it's kind of the only thing that I found interesting and that I would want to be a part of. I'm not interested in this sort of Love Island stuff and all that bollocks, but I am interested in business and I am interested in things that give you a leg up. And obviously I thought, I kind of idolized Lord Chuck for such a long time and followed his story and read his autobiography. And, I thought he's come from nothing. He's a guy that's successful. Maybe I could do that. So yeah, it was kind of just like an interest, and obviously in business, but also a passion to go out and get what I wanted. And I just thought, I have a weird personality. I might be focused on business, but actually I do quite a lot of stupid shit all the time, and I do weird, fun stuff that wouldn't make any sense to anyone. They'd be like, he's an idiot. But actually, I'm an idiot with qualifications and wants to start a business. So you can't really call me an idiot. So I must be eccentric. And the only way you get away with being eccentric is by being really rich. If you're really, really rich and you're eccentric, people don't think you're an idiot anymore. They think you're a genius. So I kind of thought, maybe that's a way into that.
Use your advantages for sure. How was the Apprentice process as a whole? Like, how did you find it all?
It is very difficult to get into. I think if anyone's interested in it, you're going to go against a hell of a lot of people. It was 70,000 people. Well, 75,000 people applied my year. When I turned up the interviews, there was a lot of successful people that room. You could tell, a lot of rich young guys, a lot of a lot of guys that have, built successful businesses. I didn't really think I had a chance to get through, to be honest. But one thing I noticed in the application rounds and the stages as you go through is that every time I went to an application stage or a process, I would stand out in some way or other, just by being myself. And I thought, well, I know I'm standing out. I know I'm different. So maybe this will get me through. And it did.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, people buy into people as well, don't they? Like if people like you, then it's already a bonus, isn't it? I think if you haven't got the personality, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah, well, obviously they're trying to make an entertaining TV show, aren't they? So they're looking for people who are not just, anyone can be interested in business, anyone can start a business, but actually a lot of people are really, really fucking boring. Yeah. And just because you want to be entertained doesn't mean you are, or just because you want to be on camera doesn't mean you'll make good camera. How many people do you see on LinkedIn making videos just for the sake of making video content, and they're the most boring people in the world? Yeah. And it's because they're just not engaging, I think, or they've just got there's no story behind it, or there's no sort of passion, and you're just doing it for the sake of it. Whereas if you do something with passion, you do something, and you are a bit, different, then I think that's naturally entertaining anyway. Yeah. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. What would you say? Is there anything specific that you really learned about yourself during the process?
Not really, no. I enjoyed it, obviously. It was different. It was quite fun. It was like being involved in a game show every day, like a new challenge and that sort of stuff. So that was quite fun. And there's not really much to learn about being on camera for a long period of time and doing tasks. It's just like I said, it's a bit like a quiz. I guess I had, I got used to dealing with people commenting or criticizing all that sort of stuff publicly because that's quite, not a lot of people have the experience of that. You know what I mean? Like having those people commenting and messaging and all that sort of, but you get a lot of support from people as well. So I guess that was the only really new experience I had. People being interested in your story and your journey as well, because no one really has to care what you're up to. No one has to give a shit. And no matter what you do in life, a lot of the time people won't notice what you're doing until you make it. So it's quite different to have people and their attention and eyes on you whilst you're still trying. So I guess I wouldn't say it's something you've learned. It's something that I experienced. That's quite cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about the businesses that you've got now then? So obviously you've been up to quite a bit, as you said at the start. So do you want to just touch on those businesses and tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So where do I start? So on the show, I went on there with a travel company, and it was called Lost Travel, actually, when I first did the business plan. Because I had this idea of lost boy, never grows up sort of thing. Anyway, it transformed into Hidden Travel. And that since the show, we've had a lot of time, obviously, to get ready because of coronavirus and lockdown. That kind of transformed into a real business. That's what it was in the idea phase in my head. When I went and found someone, sat them down, because obviously coming up with an idea and writing a business plan, it's all getting it on paper, isn't it? And having that first iteration and making it, that's what your idea is there. It's real, and you can sort of start talking to people about it because it's there in front of you. Yeah. I went and found a co-founder. I thought to myself, who could I work with? And I found this amazing guy that I used to work with abroad. And I sort of pitched the idea to him based on what my business plan was. And we've since then rehatched and messaged around, changed all sorts of different things and created something really different. And it's completely different from what it was originally. So I have to actually do another business plan. I'm supposed to be doing one this week, actually, because I need to hand it over to this company we're working with. But yeah, it's really different. So the Hidden Travel is now launching in, I think it's about 8 weeks from now, 10 weeks from now. We're going to do a launch and we're going to do some cool content around that. But I got made redundant during coronavirus as well. So all this sort of idea was getting paid for by a full-time job working in an agency, and I actually took another role running an agency for someone, and I got made redundant. So my only other option, no one was hiring anyone, so the only option was to go and start my own company there as well. I already did freelancing for quite a long time on the side, but now it's full time. So now I've got to survive by my own business, which is quite cool. Yeah,
cool. I think as well, like during lockdown, people have either kind of gone one way or another. They've either been like, oh my God, the world's over, or they've been like, right, I'm going to use this time and I'm going to start something myself. I'm just going to run with it.
Yeah, and I think, well, a lot of people always have this idea they want to start a business. And there's no real secret to start a business. There's no special formula. There's no, there's no way into doing it that's the right way. You just, if you have an idea and you believe in it, you just got to go for it. And if it fails, it fails. I think someone might knock on the door in a second, by the way. So if you can knock, that's what
they can come join in.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess it's quite cool that I'm paying for my sort of business with another business, and
Yeah.
I'm having to be full-time on my own, doing my own stuff. It's a little bit harder, and it's a lot harder. In fact, it would have been a lot easier to have a salary,
Yeah.
just have that paid, and not struggle. But you know what? Life doesn't always give us what we want.
Exactly. Nothing worth having comes easy, right?
Exactly.
So are there any specific highlight moments in your career that you can think of specifically?
Sorry, 1 second. Someone at the door, so now the dog's barking. It happens in literally every single podcast, and it really annoys me. But it's something I have to deal with. As long as you can hear me still, that's the main thing.
Yeah, I can.
Any kind of highlights? To be honest, for me, I was really happy when I first. Oh, 1 second. I'm gonna have to shut the dogs up. You can go on. I'll just pause for a second. Come on now. Come on. It's a pattern of sausage feet. It's a big one and a small one and a very boy. Well, they're both girls, but just very like.
I've got a cat. He usually comes. He'll get involved at some point, I'm sure.
Literally every podcast I ever do, they always bark, and I give up trying to do professional ones. Like even when I'm talking to like really massive companies and like it's all recorded and done professionally, you can always hear a dog barking at some point.
Yeah.
In terms of my career and what I've been doing, do you know what? No, I've just had a normal life. Like I started a bit later than everyone else. I had a bit more time to think about what I wanted to do. I didn't go straight into university at 18 like most people. And I'm lucky to have found my passion. I think the biggest highlight for me would have been the fact that I sort of spotted something I wanted to do. And granted, when I went into studying, I know a lot of people don't go down that pathway. I did it because I'd never considered it before, and I thought, what a challenge. And people will take me seriously. Because when I was younger, I was quite like Larry, and I was quite, you would definitely say ADHD, but to be taken seriously, I just thought I had to go down that route because otherwise I'm going to be on the back foot when I go for roles. So the highlight for me was the fact that I had that experience of living abroad, working abroad, and getting to, even the travel company I'm forming now is based on my experiences whilst working abroad for lots of tour operators and watching how they were doing things incorrectly with their guests or things I didn't think would work. And things I noticed that I was watching the processes and businesses, and I was sort of going, is that something that going to go into the future? Looking at how consumers were changing and what they were asking for on these tours and things they complained about. And if I had never had that experience as a person trying to find his feet in life, and 18 years old to be looking after 45-year-old people or 35-year-old people getting drunk on nights out, or dealing with crime or dealing with injuries and accidents and that sort of stuff that reps do deal with, I probably wouldn't have grown into the person I am now. I definitely wouldn't have had any ideas on what I wanted to do. So yeah, that's for me, that pre-career, that pre-work thing is my biggest highlight, because it gave me a chance to find my feet, find something I was passionate about, learn from amazing people, and deal with a hell of a lot of stuff at a very young age. They say that people mature at university, but really, like you do, it's because of the life experiences that are thrown at you at uni. But it's only to a certain point. Because if you see a student now, you'll probably see if they're young, like 19, 20, they might be more mature than college, but they're still going to come across immature. Whereas I was having to come across as mature at 18, dealing with a serious assault, or all their belongings have been stolen and things like that, and dealing with police or dealing with stabbings, and you know what I mean, things that you shouldn't be dealing with at 18. Which forced me to have a more serious side. So yeah, that's probably the biggest highlight for me, is having that experience at a young age. Yeah,
cool. I think as well, like uni, I went to uni, and it kind of makes you grow up, but not really. It's not until you get out and you have a real job and you're actually dealing with real life experiences, like you said, that's when stuff actually gets real, and that's when you start to grow and you start to learn about stuff.
I would say a lot of it as well is it helped me realize things that I didn't want to do. Like I was working alongside guys. I was 18 and I was getting paid the same as the guy that was 35. Do you know what I mean? And he'd done that his entire life. I mean, he might have been content, but I recognized that this wasn't going to be a long-term thing. I sort of looked at them and was like, it's not where I see my life going. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really great to spend time abroad and live in amazing places, and everyone on holiday is happy, so it's always fun to be around. But I didn't see that as like something I wanted to do for the next 15 years. And it sounds quite sad. It's a bit like, the fact that if you're 30, 35 years old working abroad and you've done it all your life, chances are your friends have all sort of settled down, they've got married and they've got kids, and they're sort of just still floating around. And I feel like a lot of them are people that just never found their feet. And again, I recognize that as something that's not the way I see my life going. A lot of them actually just end up staying abroad and starting bars or whatever and just staying abroad. I mean, I think I've got a lot of friends now that when I was younger, I used to work with that. Most of them still do the same thing, or they're working abroad now with a bar they've opened, or they have a club or whatever, but they're just happy doing that.
At least you got some good contacts when you go away. Have a good time.
Yeah, well, that's it. But I guess that's another great thing that came out of The Apprentice was the amount of people, obviously, because all of a sudden everyone's attention is on what you're trying to do, and because it's such a weird thing to say, I'm starting a travel company with no money, and it takes hundreds of thousands of pounds to start a travel company, like most people anyway. Like, I think it got a lot of contacts out of that reached out to me and was like, yeah, we like what you're doing, we like your idea, like good luck with it. Sort of said hello to me, and that's helping me now during this launch. I've been making phone calls this morning to people who are owners of huge, massive organizations and contacts that I picked up because of The Apprentice. So that's all great stuff to have, like I said, contacts when you're young, but also the things that come out of the show. Yeah. In fact, one just messaged me then.
Oh, really? Amazing. Yeah. Cool. So what would you say, so those were your highlights, what would you say your most challenging moments have been?
Challenging moments, what, in my career, or do you mean just on the show?
In your career in general, and touch on the show as well if you want, just in general.
I guess for me, the one thing that I've always been challenged with is I've always struggled to be in a situation where I'm being told what to do. Doesn't matter what business it is, doesn't matter if it meant I was 5 minutes late every morning. My employers in the past could attest to the fact that I would be always late. It was nothing to do with the fact that I couldn't get out of bed. It was just because I just sort of didn't like. It wasn't like I was purposely doing it. It's not like I was purposely going, screw you, I want to be 5 minutes late. I just never sort of wanted to do the same as everyone else. I just didn't get how everyone did what they were told. And like if you got told what to do, I go, why are we doing it that way when this is the better way? And they go, because that's what we do. It's like, well, I don't want to do that. And so I always found I just never fit in, basically. Yeah. I'm not saying I was a crap employee, because I always did a really good job wherever I was. I always tried my hardest, but I never really liked to follow the rules. I always found myself getting in trouble. I always found myself, disciplinaries. I must have been fired more times than I can remember. Before I was 18, I'd been sacked from everywhere. Like I said, kicked out of 3 colleges. None of it was because I was being really naughty, particularly. They could just tell that I wasn't interested, like I was late, or I would just talk back. Or I guess now looking back, I genuinely think I had ADHD, and I think I did struggle to. I think like a part of that is struggling to sort of be told what to do and like sit still and when to sit, when to eat, and all that sort of stuff. Which is probably why I found it so attractive when I saw these guys who had their own businesses and were making their own money doing it for themselves. Yeah. And I started reading more into what entrepreneurs were and what they did, and that's probably why it attracted me so much, because it matched my lifestyle. I think that probably like the for me in terms of careers, that's probably the hardest thing, and things I've struggled with most is just following the rules. Yeah. And I'm not saying that what I do is the right way. Like, I don't know what I'm doing from day to day, and I know that people sort of look at other people and they say, oh, like, because they're on a show that they're doing really well in life. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that I got on the show. I'm just day by day doing things differently because that's just who I am as a person. I don't know where it's going to lead. I'm hoping I get somewhere where I can be really proud of it and look back and tell the kids at university, like, don't worry, if you don't fit in, it'll be okay. If you get jobs, it'll be okay. If you feel it weird sitting between 4 walls all day, it'll be okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I struggle with. I guess it's authority, and I guess it's the being told what to do. I've been an employee, really. I just never gelled with it. Yeah.
I think a lot of business owners, like I'm the same. Like I say, I'm unemployable now. Like if I was told to go back to a job, not in terms of like I wouldn't want to do the work, but similarly to you, like you don't want to, if you think that there's a better way to do it, or if you think there's other ways to do things, it's almost like, okay, well, you're not going to agree with me. And it's just a difficult situation.
One thing I struggle with most is when I can tell the person that is hiring or the manager that's in charge is experienced and don't know what they're talking about. That really winds me up, because they probably, they might be in that role because they've been there a long time, or just because naturally they took that work on, but they might not be passionate about it, whatever. And I've always struggled to work for people where I feel like they're incompetent in their role. Yeah. And you think it wouldn't happen that often, but it really does. Even now, like even before The Apprentice, I've been freelancing for like just under 4 years with my own clients, while I was working my way up in an agency. I knew I had a lot more experience than a lot of the people I was working for, yet when I went for an interview, they would try and talk down to me like a piece of shit. Yeah. Even now, I bet if I went for a job now, I'd get spoken to and questioned like I don't know what I'm talking about. And that really, really grinds my gears, because it's like, I know I've done more than you in a year. like, because obviously if you just work for one business your entire life, great, you might know everything about that business. Doesn't mean you know everything about how it should be. You just know how your business does. And actually they become sort of like blinkered to the world around them. They think this is the way we do it. And so when I sit with people like that, even now, it just winds me right up, because I'm like, no, that's what you think. That's not the way it is. Like, everyone over here do this. But now when I do it, I can talk from experience, because I've had, in marketing, because I've had clients for such a long time. Mm-hmm. I can go, actually, you say that, but here's what I did with these guys. Now, you might have 20 years experience in marketing. The last 5 years count, because look how, like, what computers look like 5 years ago. Like 5 years ago, look at what DVDs look like. Do you know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that.
Life in general.
Yeah, and everything evolves so fast. Like, yeah, it's great to have that experience working with letters and sending out post campaigns. Fantastic. But actually, what I'm talking about here, I've had way more experience, and I struggle to sit in those situations now. So I'm probably very unemployable as well.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is that these companies are ringing me up and asking me for help now. Whereas in the past, I probably would have worked for a really low fee.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so what's your favorite thing about being a business owner? You have to pick one thing.
Well, I'm new to this. It's the first time this is the first year I'm a business owner officially. Yeah. Freelancing, I mean, it doesn't really count, because you can sort of cop out and say, I've got a full-time job. But one thing I enjoy the most is, I like saying is when people say, what do you do? I say, I'm unemployed. I like saying that. I don't know why.
Get a reaction.
Yeah, just something I started saying recently. What do you do? I'm unemployed. And they go, oh, like, yeah. But I like the freedom to just move around, and how I don't know what's going to happen the next day. Like, I know that if I go shopping, I can be on the phone to a client and I can close a deal on the phone whilst in the frozen food section buying, vegetables for the week. Yeah. And that's quite weird, because normal work doesn't happen like that. Work happens when you sit in an office all day long and you try and hammer out. I find that I do a lot more work in a short space of time. Yeah. Do it for myself. And I'm not sure if that's because I'm just more comfortable where I'm working. I can just focus, or maybe it's just it's my personal goal, isn't it? I'm working for myself, so if I'm only going to let myself down, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a combination of the two. But I find that I work a lot harder and faster, and I can get a lot more done. And I also feel like when you ring someone and you're not ringing as an employee anymore, you're ringing as it's your business, it's your passion. You've done all the achievements so far. It kind of opens doors a little bit more as well, because you can say, like, my business was this, and this is how the guys that I work with do this. And it's not like when I used to ring as a salesperson for an agency, it was much harder to have the conversation, because I don't know, maybe just the type of business that I'm ringing. Maybe because I'm ringing, sole business owners or entrepreneurs, they sort of maybe respect that a bit more. I don't know. Yeah.
I guess you just have, it's a different drive and a different passion when it's your own thing.
Yeah, I guess that's what I enjoy the most. The fact, it is the freedom. It's the fact that if I'm tired, I can sleep in and work till 3 a.m. and it doesn't bother me. I probably don't like, the one thing I don't like the most is the fact that I forget to make time to do stuff for myself, like to go to the gym or to go shopping for food, etc. Because I'll be sat on my laptop all day. Like today, I was supposed to go to gym, but I know I'm not going to because I'm tired now. So I end up working the entire day. So it's not all roses, and I imagine there's a lot more negatives to come my way, but it's no point worrying about it, I suppose. Just crack on.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think as well, like, it's hard. It's just impossible almost to switch off when you've got your own business. Like, there's been so many times like where I've gone on holiday or I've done this or I've done that, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'll just turn my phone off for half an hour. And I last like 10 minutes and I'm like, I need to check my email, or you're constantly on the go, but it's important to make that time for yourself.
I don't know if I've made it harder for myself, because like I said, there's 3, but there's 2 that take up the majority of my time right now. And I am constantly flitting between the 2. So like today, for example, I'm working on one client. I've got to get some stuff together for, and I'm dealing with invoices with another client. I'm speaking to another one. And then I'm going outside making phone calls to big brands about this big launch with hidden travel. And so I'm constantly flitting between the 2. So I'm not sure if I just feel like I'm working a lot more because I'm trying to do 2 things at once. Yeah. I don't know. I've got a bit of a scatterbrain as well. Like, I used to put things down in a diary, and because I got told that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put everything down and do your day-to-day sort of check things off, and that sometimes works for me. But with this, I just feel like it's all in my head. I know it needs to be done, and I just get on with it, and I just dance around throughout the day. And at the end of the day, I go, did it work? Did I get my stuff done? What else needs to be done? And I don't know if that's another sort of aspect of working for yourself is that, like you said, you never really switch off. I used to watch successful people take phone calls and speak to cool people all day long, and I thought that was quite cool. Now I get what they were doing. They were just constantly juggling, constantly plate spinning.
Yeah.
And it's a skill that I didn't even know I had, multitasking, because I would not say multitasking is my skill set. In this case, it must be, because I'm constantly spinning. But again, it's my passion, that's why.
Yeah. And I think even if you do write a list, like I'm quite like, I need to write a list all the time, but I'll write a list and then that doesn't mean I'm going to just do what's on the list. Your brain is still like all over the place anyway.
I do it all the time. I just put in notes, different lists of stuff, and it just becomes redundant immediately, because I'll write something down, just because it's written down doesn't mean it's going to happen, because something else comes up immediately. Yeah. I think a lot of it is firefighting. Now, I don't know who your target is for who's going to hear this. If it's someone that was wanting to start a business, someone that is starting a business, or already is in the thick of it, like they'll all go through the same thing. I imagine they'll all have to deal with that juggling, balancing, like spinning plates, and at any point it could all fall down and crash around you. But that's just the risk you take, and you figure it out. And I guess the overall thing is everyone hopes that one of the things that they're doing just picks up and it takes off, and then perfect, you run with it. And I think a lot of things that people don't realize is just because you plan something a certain way doesn't mean it's going to happen like that. You don't know from one day to the next what is going to happen. You don't know if it's like, say, it's all going to crash, or something amazing is going to happen, or something's going to pop up that's just different. So these are the things that I'm learning firsthand now, but I don't think you'll ever learn that until you just go all in on whatever you want to do. Like you can't, I said, I've been doing this sort of stuff for a couple of years, and I always thought I was a bit of an entrepreneur because I was freelancing, but actually now living it, and that's all you can do. And it's just you on your own. There's no one else to turn to. There's no one else giving you money. It's like shit, sink or swim. Until you do that, I don't think you'll get it. Yeah,
it's just the experience, isn't it? Okay, so if anyone's watching this, which they will be, who is thinking about starting a business, going on from what you've just said, basically, is there any specific advice that you would give them if they're either ready to go, about to start their own business, they're thinking about it? What would you say to
them? Kind of what I was just saying there, to be honest. If you know what, if I had £1 for every time someone said, I've got a business idea, or I want to start a business, or something along those lines, I wouldn't even have to start a freaking business because I'd be rich. And I don't know what it is about everyone wanting to start a business. I don't know if it's because it's been sort of like not sexualized, but like it's been made like the sexy thing, isn't it, to have a business? Everyone's like, oh, I want to do a business like that. So I don't know what it is about it. People all say, I want to do this. And that's fine. Having an idea is fine. And living with that idea is fine. And then being distracted by other things is fine. But only the ones that really, really want to go for it will just go all in. And I think, and that's all I can say to anyone really, is if you really want to start a business, or if you have a dream, you cannot, there's no other ways around it. You're going to just have to go in all in. There's no other way. Like, otherwise you'll always be distracted. Like, I've tried it whilst working full time with someone else, and it was great. And people say you should transition or wait for the time you save money or whatever it is, but I got me redundant on the spot and I had no choice. That was it. The next month there was no money for bills. That was me. That was the push I needed.
Yeah.
Now whether it's going to work out or not, fuck knows. I might end up working for another company and then pretending that I am employable and then lying on my CV again and pretending I'm a good person to work with. But you don't know until you try. Like, I know for a fact that if it all fell apart, say hustle fails and I'm not getting paid, I'm gonna have to get a job, and I'll be working somewhere. But I guarantee I will be miserable in the first month, and I'd only be doing it for the money, which is not a reason to work for anyone else. So if you're miserable and you're working for someone else, then you know what the answer is, and there'll never be a right time. There'll never be something that feels like the moment you should do it. And if anything, it can only get worse at this point. Like, now we've just entered a recession as well. So like, who knows? Next thing, there's a frigging war or something. So the point is, it's never going to be a right time. So just do it. Like, we're starting a travel company in the middle of a pandemic at the start of a recession. Yeah. Like, if we can survive that, we're going to be a strong company. I'll tell you that.
Definitely. I think, it's never the right time, and you'll never be ready, and there'll always be an excuse. Like, you can always make an excuse, so you've got to just go all in.
And as well, people go, oh, I had the idea, and it's like, so did you do anything with it? No. Well, then it's absolutely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, anyone can say, I had that idea, but just because you have an idea, like I said right earlier on, is just because you have an idea does not mean that's how it's going to pan out. And an idea is fantastic, but actually when you get it on paper and you get working on it and you start making steps in it, it changes. And just because your idea sounds like what someone else did doesn't mean that you would have been capable of putting in that work that they did. So I find it so offensive when people say, it actually happened. Someone messaged me and said, oh, we had that idea. It's like, fantastic. What did you do with it? Piss off. because
Yeah.
I'm that's
I
like
don't know that comment.
exactly. And I did the same thing. I was like, I used to write all these business ideas down on a piece of paper over the years, and all of them were just, it's completely irrelevant. All of it's redundant. Like, it doesn't matter how clever the idea is. If I didn't act on it, it is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So that is the only thing I can tell anyone is all I know so far is to act on it. Act on it. If you have an idea, act on it. Even after you start, like, things pop up in my head every day, like, oh, I should bring this brand, or what if we do this, what if we do that? And I act on everything now, because I know if I don't, I'll forget, or it'll pass, or I'll get distracted, and something else will come up, and I'll never do it. So now I just act on everything almost. I do it almost immediately, but that's just maybe not the best way of doing things. But yeah, that's all I can really give to people right now, because I'm still starting.
Yeah, that's good, some good advice there. Okay, last question. Do you have any books or audios or podcasts, people that you follow, anyone that you would recommend for my viewers to get involved with?
I tend to read biographies. I've not read anything in a while though. I was reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I know everyone bums that book, but I only picked it up because I actually heard there's some real value in it, and it does seem to be quite good. I say that it seems quite good because the dog ate it after I'd finished the first couple of chapters, so now I need to go buy another version of that book. But I would recommend that because that's quite cool. Rich Dad Poor Dad, I know everyone bums that as well, but I'm not just saying ones that I most know. I genuinely appreciate that book because it gave me a different sort of perspective on money, and I listen to the audiobook for that, and I listen to it all the time in the car. Also, it's called Think and Grow Rich. I bought that because a very successful millionaire dude I messaged him ages ago, and he recommended I get hold of that, and I did, and I read it, and I've read it a few times. It's very old fashioned, it's like very traditional, but
I love him. Do you know Bob Proctor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I swear by him.
Some of these guys, I like what they say. Problem is, like, a lot of these like pyramid scheme bellends all sort of adopts that mentality. Go, oh well, Bob Proctor is one of our advocates. It's like, no, listen, dude. Like, what you're doing now is nothing like what it was there. You're just trying to sell shitty juice and trying whatever. Anyway, the point is, yeah, you're right. Those types of people in the past, those sort of like fundamentals of things like marketing and sales never really changed. Obviously, the methods in which we do that and the channels like we use change, but the fundamentals are all there, and I think they're great to sort of learn. I always listen to a podcast called Start With. Oh shit, it's How I Built This by Guy Raz, and I listen to every single one of them. And that got me onto the idea of doing my own little podcast, which I do. But How I Built This, is basically business owners, huge business owners. He's interviewed loads of them, like James Dyson, or the founder of Lost Planet, or the man and wife that founded that, or just all sorts, like everything. They're all American brands, a lot of them, but we've heard of most of them. And listening to the stories, it just sort of makes me feel calm and less worried, because I'm like, they went through all that shit. Like, they listening to every single one of them, all of them have the same sort of story, the same sort of experiences, and they all match what I'm going through. So I think hearing from other people that are going through and have come out the other side. Now, obviously, I don't listen to the people that have all crashed and burned along the way, because I might learn how not to do things, but it's not going to motivate you, is it? If you hear about, for every one company that starts and is successful, there's 9 that failed. Yeah. You can't really think like that, unfortunately. But How I Built This is a really good way to learn about what people do. And some of the stories are fascinating. Like, the idea is like they seem almost like they came out of like thin air. And there's always a question around luck and whether they believe luck played a part. And actually, you can trace most of these journeys and most of the successful biggest businesses to like a point where something happened that was just absolute fate, or it was pure chance that meeting or encounter happened that sent them on a different path. Even when I thought of who could be the co-founder of Hidden Travel, like, for no apparent reason, I happened to think of a guy I'd worked with 6 years ago. I'd met like over the course of a summer and hadn't spoke to since. I didn't think of any of my friends. I didn't even spend time considering who to. I thought I need a co-founder. Some guy told me I need a co-founder. He's like, if you really want to be successful, find one that's like opposite to you and finds with balance ideas off. And I took that on board, and I literally thought, who would I work with? And for some random reason, Luke came up in my head. I reached out to him. He lived down the road in Preston now, and I just thought, I'm gonna come and meet you. And I shared the idea. But there's no reason for that. There's no logical thought process. There was no like who would be the best fit. It was just like, he came to mind. He is actually the best fit. He's also got a lot of experience. In between us, we've got about 12 seasons worth of experience in working on the front line of travel, which I don't care what anyone says. Like if you work in Tesco's on the counter at Tesco's for 12 years, you're going to learn a lot about how Tesco's works and how a retailer works.
Yeah.
And we just feel like we learned a shitload about stuff that operationally a lot of businesses are not even aware of. Just because you sit on a board of directors in travel does not mean you know shit all about what happens when you're facing clients and what happens on the ground or why your company might be failing or struggling.
Yeah.
That sort of real life experience for us is proving unbelievably invaluable at what we're putting together. Whether it works, well, we'll find out in about a year's time. But until then, that's all we can really do.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will all work. Got to be positive.
Yeah, that's it. I think it will. I can't see why it wouldn't. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of external factors affecting what we're doing at the moment, but yeah, we're just doing it anyway.
Yeah, cool, amazing. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up about anything?
Not really. I'm usually much more energetic and lively, but I'm just dead today. I really am. But I think this happens though, right? Like we spend, like I said, I've been sat on the couch since, how is it now? Like 5.
Yeah.
Well, I must have sat downstairs about 10 a.m. this morning and I haven't really moved since.
Yeah.
It's not a healthy lifestyle, but it's, if you go into your own business, just expect it to be shit for a few years.
Yeah.
I think this is what it is as well. Like people think, oh, well, you know, they sold their business. Look how lucky they are. Like they got all that money now. It's like, yeah, but they paid themselves nothing. They struggled to maintain friendships, relationships. They struggled to eat healthy, go to the gym, or, you know, be social and all that sort of stuff for like 10 years before they did that. It's nothing to do with luck. It's all to do with mindset and perseverance, I think.
100%. Totally agree. Amazing. Thank you so much. And also, this is the reality as well. So it doesn't matter that you're not energetic. This is how this is life. This is business life.
I agree. That's what I meant. I didn't mean sexualizing. Romanticizing business as this sort of get out of life free card, this sort of get out of work free card. It's a bunch of bollocks. I honestly believe a lot of companies fail because someone enters into a business and do not have what it takes to deal with all the crap that comes with it. It is hard. It's not meant to be easy. If it was meant to be easy, everyone could make millions. Like, it's not meant to be easy. So respect anyone that has been successful. Yeah, there might be an element of luck, but it's all about just grafting. Like, there is no other way to explain it. Grafting your ass off.
Yeah. And if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Exactly. So just because everyone has an idea for a business or they said they want to start a business, I don't mean they have what it takes. I think you know when you start if it's for you. And there's no point in kidding yourself if it's not.
Yeah.
There's no shame in working for someone either. Like, there's nothing wrong with building yourself up and being really successful in a business as a CEO or whatever, or a manager or like, but I just know, I can feel it. I just know it's not for me.
Yeah.
Like, I might be knackered now and I might be working 14-hour days, but I'm way happier than I was when I was working 9 till 5 and just sat in the office and just wasting time because I was bored and waiting to go home with my friends. I used to fall asleep almost on my desk. I was that bored.
That's no life.
No, exactly. So I was getting paid loads more money. It was easier with less work and less struggles. And I probably could have worked my way up and got quite a pretty penny and had less work to do. But I was never happy with that. I think that's the important message. You've got to find what makes you happy. You know if you're happy. If you're not happy, you just kid yourself. Yeah,
definitely. And where can we find you on social media?
I'm everywhere. So like LinkedIn is quite easy. I think if you type in Lewis Ellis on everything, it'll pretty much come up now. Like I use probably Instagram and LinkedIn now, really weirdly, mostly. Obviously Hidden Travel's got its own Instagram. But yeah, I use LinkedIn mainly alongside Instagram. Apart from that, I've just stopped sort of posting on things now because I've not got time. Well, I also do a podcast like every week as well. It's called Fuck the Norm.
Yeah.
And that I'm doing the second sort of season. I've done 10 interviews. I kind of find cool people. So if you want to learn more about sort of what I'm doing and the types of people that I admire and listen to some cool stories that exist as well. I'm doing the second season now, so I'm going to put out 10 more episodes in the next couple of weeks.
Cool. If you just send me the link of everything, I'll post everything underneath this.
Yeah, it could be interesting for anyone that's wanting to start because I don't necessarily find people that have successful businesses. I find people that are successful in their own area. Like I had a guy from America's Got Talent who's like a comedian with no arms and he came second. And there's like a girl who is a Paralympic world record holding sailing champion. She's like 3 Paralympics and that's all she's ever known is competition and that sort of stuff. So I find people with cool stories, but it doesn't mean I'm trying to find people that are successful in business. It's just it's trying to build a pattern of what what feeds that success, where they come from, and how can they maintain it, and then learning from them to apply to my own sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, sounds good. I'll be listening to that for sure.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'll post all your links underneath. And guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've liked this, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to my channel. And thanks again, Lewis, and hopefully speak to you soon.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.